You know that feeling you get sometimes waking up and scrolling through the news? That sense that the world is just coming unglued? It seems like every single day there's another headline about more conflict, more instability, more economic chaos. Well, if you feel that way, I'm here to tell you you're not alone. And you're not crazy. That anxiety you're feeling about political tensions, about inflation, about all the instability, it's not just in your head. It's a very real response to the fact that the global system we've all lived under our entire lives, is failing. You see, what we're all experiencing right now isn't just a rough patch or a temporary downturn. It's the end of an entire era. The fundamental rules that have governed the world for the last 80 years are shattering. And as one analyst put it, you can almost hear the bones of the old world order breaking. To really see how deep these cracks go, we need to look at the country that basically built this whole system in the first place. Because right now, in the United States, a really shocking financial line has just been crossed. For the first time in history, the U.S. government is on track to spend more money just paying the interest on its old debt than it does on its entire massive military. Let that sink in. The so-called policeman of the world is so deep in the red that its credit card bill is bigger than its defense budget. This isn't just a budget problem, folks. This is a giant, flashing red light, a symptom of a system in really deep distress.
So how on earth did we get to this breaking point? To understand that, we have to jump in a time machine and go all the way back to the moment this world order was actually born.
Picture this. The year is 1944. World War II is finally winding down. Europe is just a pile of rubble, and there is one giant left standing tall: America. At that moment, the U.S. had half of the world's entire economy and nearly all of its gold, so it gathered the world's nations and made them an offer they just couldn't refuse. And the deal, the contract, was beautifully simple. It had two parts. First, America promised security. It said, "We will be your bodyguard, we'll form alliances like NATO, and our Navy will protect global trade routes for free. All you have to do is the second part. In return for this massive security umbrella, the whole world would agree to use the US dollar as the world's money." And that was the contract. That's the deal that created 80 years of relative peace and prosperity. But now, after 8 decades, that foundational contract has been betrayed. The promises that held the entire system together, they've been broken. On both fronts. The original promise has been swapped out for a harsh new reality. That core idea that your money was safe if you held it in dollars or in the Western banking system, gone. And the promise to protect your allies? Well, that's now become conditional, to say the least. Okay, let's start with the money side of things. In 2022, the West froze over $300 billion of Russia's central bank reserves. Now, whatever you think about the politics of that, it sent an absolutely terrifying message to every other country on the planet. The message was, your dollars aren't really yours. They can be taken away at a moment's notice. And just like that, the dollar went from being a neutral, safe asset to being a weapon. The security promise has been shattered too. The bodyguard has actually started threatening the very people it's supposed to be protecting. I mean, when the US threatened massive tariffs against its own NATO ally, Denmark, it sent a signal to everyone. The trust that held this whole system together, both the financial trust and the military trust, it's evaporated. So, why? Why would America start breaking the very rules that it created? The rules that made it so powerful for so long? Well, the answer, the real motive behind all this chaos, can be found in a single, absolutely terrifying number. $39 trillion. That is the staggering size of the U.S. national debt. This isn't just some abstract number on a government website. It's a financial black hole that is forcing America to act out of pure desperation, not out of strength. Think about it like this. For every single dollar the U.S. government collects in taxes, almost 20 cents, 1/5 of it, is immediately burned just to pay interest on old loans. It doesn't fund the army, it doesn't build roads, it doesn't pay for healthcare. It just disappears, servicing past debt. And when a country is that financially strangled, it can't afford to be generous anymore. It has to start bullying and squeezing its allies because, frankly, it has no other choice. So if the architect of the system is broke and the contract is totally void, where is the world's smart money running for safety? Well, they're running back to the original, oldest form of money there is. What we're witnessing right now is a historic flip. For the first time in the modern era, the world's central banks, the biggest players in the game, now hold more value in physical gold than they do in U.S. government debt. This is not speculation. This is the ultimate insider trade. It is a massive, global vote of no confidence in the old system.
So why gold? What's the magic here? It's pretty simple. Gold sitting in your own country's vault cannot be frozen by a foreign power. It's no one else's debt reliability. It isn't a promise to pay you, it is the payment. And, maybe most importantly, new global banking rules now officially recognize physical gold as a top-tier risk-free asset, basically the equivalent of cash. The system itself is quietly admitting that, yep, gold is real money after all.
So the old order is dying, and a new one is struggling to be born. Let's take a look at the chaotic, leaderless world that is starting to emerge from all this rubble. Experts have a name for this. They call it the G0 world. Here's a good way to think about it. Imagine the world is a bus. For 80 years, America was the driver. But now, the driver has gotten tired, stumbled out of his seat, and walked off. The problem is, no other passenger, not China, not Europe, nobody, is big enough or willing enough to grab the wheel. So what happens? The bus is just careening down the road with everyone inside fighting over the controls. And into this chaotic void, new groups are forming. The BRICS group, for example, is no longer just some talking shop. It's expanded, and it now represents roughly half the world's population. It controls a massive chunk of the global economy and, critically, resources like oil. And they all have one single uniting goal: to figure out how to trade with each other without ever having to use the US dollar. To pull that off, they need to build a whole new set of financial plumbing. You see, for decades, pretty much every international bank transfer went through a system called SWIFT, which is controlled by the West. You can think of it as the WhatsApp for banks. But now, countries are racing to build alternatives, like China's CIPS system and a new project called mBridge. The goal is to create financial highways completely outside of Western control. And this brings us to where we are right now. We are living in the middle of this dangerous transition. Most experts agree that this period, from now until about 2030, is going to be the most volatile, a time of chaos, of shocks and sudden crises, as the old world gives way to whatever comes next. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? In this G0 world, the number one piece of advice coming from the top financial experts is incredibly simple: diversify. Don't bet your entire future on one currency, one country, or one system. Governments are diversifying into gold. Big companies are diversifying their supply chains. The age of putting all your eggs in the American basket is officially over. The bottom line is, we're living in that incredibly uncomfortable, unpredictable space between two worlds. The old contract is broken. The new one hasn't been written yet, and the rules are being made up as we go along. So the only real question left is, how are you going to navigate the space between?